Hi, good morning. This is Deb BILADEAU, and this is my book presentation for traditional literature. The book I've chosen today is called The Velveteen Rabbit, or How Toys Become Real. It's by Marjorie Williams, and this is the 1984 version, illustrated version of the story by Michael Green. The story was originally written in 1922. And this book is appropriate to be read to small children or for readers about second grade and up. This book fits into the genre of traditional children's literature because it's been passed down for almost 100 years from generation to generation. The subcategory of traditional literature I would say this falls into is folktale because it has elements of magic and fairies. And the magic is used for good. Okay, so let's get into the summary about this tale. This is the story of a little velveteen rabbit. And he is given to a boy on Christmas morning. After a few hours of being played with, he's put on a shelf and is snubbed by many of the other toys in the nursery that are considered much more modern. Then he meets the old wise skin horse, whose missing patches of fur and bursting seams tells the Velveteen Rabbit about nursery magic and what it means and how to become real. He explains that becoming real is not how you're made, but what you become after you've been loved for a very long time. The rabbit asks, "Does it hurt?" To which the horse replies, "Sometimes, but when you're real, you don't really mind being hurt." So, as the story goes on, the rabbit does become loved by the boy, and he's one of the boy's favorite toys. Once when he's been left out in the woods, when the boy forgot to get him, he meets some real rabbits. And at first, the real rabbits aren't sure what to do with him. They tell him that he's not real, which makes the Velveteen Rabbit very sad. As the story goes on, the boy becomes very sick with scarlet fever, and the rabbit, being one of his favorite toys, is brought into him, and he stays with the boy. And they think the boy isn't going to make it, but as he starts to recover and get better, the boy has to go to the seashore, which is what the doctor says has to happen. And the rabbit at first is very excited. They're going to get to go to the seashore. But then he finds out that the doctor says that all of the toys and the bedding have to be bagged up and thrown out and burned. Well, of course, the rabbit is really distraught about this, and the next night, as he's laying there on the ground with the other toys and blankets, he notices this flower that appears, and out of the flower comes a beautiful fairy. He's not really sure what to make of this, but the fairy tells him that she's the nursery magic fairy and that she's come to care for all the things that have been loved by children. And she tells him that she's going to make him real. And to make a long story short, she does, and he becomes a real rabbit. And one day after the boy is well, he comes back and he's playing outside, and he sees a real rabbit playing out in the woods, and he comments that looks like my old favorite bunny toy. And then the rabbit knows that he's real. So I really love this book for many reasons. One is that it's a rabbit book, and I do love rabbit books, but also because I was able to read this story to my children many times when they were growing up. It's a really loving a lovely tale about love and unconditional love. It's about becoming, which kind of has a spiritual aspect to it. I think you can also read this story as an adult in the way that we are trying to become like our Heavenly Father, and what it is to become real, to become like Him. The rabbit in this story is at first a material, earthly rabbit, and then he becomes an animated, I guess, real rabbit. So there's a lot of really great ways to read and look at this story. I think it's both for children and adults. It has enough detail, and the images are lovely that all will enjoy it. Thank you.